Memories linked to life events, they stick. Many years ago, at one of my first weddings, the couple casually mentioned they wanted to do a special photo in front of the church after the service. We talked over possibilities. Now, this was before the really fancy and expensive stuff like releasing butterflies had come into reality. So I told them the usual, no rice or birdseed or anything that might hurt the animals around the church. I told them bubbles were fine and wished them well in their search for something to make that photo taken right after the sealing of their covenant special. And I forgot about it. Until the day of the wedding, when a beautiful ornate cage appeared holding two adorable snow-white doves. "Wow, they're so pretty," I said. "I know," a bridesmaid said, "and they're going to release them right after the service. Release them, toss them high into the air where they would soar into the sky, the symbol of the love that had given this couple wings." And eventually, the service completed, we found ourselves outside, eagerly awaiting this special, event. I was still in my robe. I didn't want to miss it. And I had struck up a conversation with a relative, I think he was a lawyer, as we waited for the photographer to size up the shot, for the birds to be gently taken from the cage, and for this moment to be captured for all eternity. And as a hush fell over the guests, the bride and the groom each gently held a bird, and on the count of 3 from the photographer, threw them high into the air. But the birds did not soar. They instinctively started beating their wings, but bird number 1 took a hard right, and never getting more than 5 feet off the ground, almost knocked over a frightened bridesmaid, and then slammed into the stone wall of the church and slid like Wile E. Coyote in a Road Runner classic. Meanwhile, bird number 2 bobbed and weaved, just cleared the head of the photographer, and to the gasp of the onlookers, and at least one, oh no, headed straight for, on a windshield-high path, the busy lane known as Main Street. But escaping death, the bird managed to hit one of the small trees lining the road, where he or she grabbed a branch and hung upside down. And I leaned over to my new lawyer friend and I said, Can you say cat food? Memories associated with life events stick. Oh, by the way, the doves were fine. The guest invented a new game, catch the flightless bird and put it back in its cage. But none of us would ever forget. The world of the New Testament contained a lot of cultures and countries that belonged in that time to the Roman Empire. They were really different branches of Mediterranean culture, which did include the Jewish people. And they were cultures of honor and shame. One commentator I listened to last week even said every family had an honor-shame score. A score revealed, no doubt, in the chatter of the neighbors. "Oh, them? Did you hear what the kid did? Them? I heard that the father, them? No regard for," you fill in the blank. The honor-shame score could be affected by a lot of things, and shame, big surprise, was a lot more fun to talk about. But fail to put the right appearance on in public, fail to do what was expected of you, fail to follow tradition to a T, you would be talked about. Especially if the failure occurred at a very public life event like a wedding. And I think we get it. We are, after all, an extension of this Mediterranean culture. We don't want to feel shamed. For example, young people, even not so young people, will post on social media and look again and again to see how much approval they're getting. And if they don't get the approval, if they don't get the attention, they can feel shame. That's bad. There's a part of every one of us that wants to be successful. And if we're not, even if it's not our fault, we can feel shame. That's bad. We want others to see the relationships that we're in as positive. And if things don't work out, that's bad. Those of us who are parents want our kids to shine. And if they don't, even if it's not their fault, not our fault, it's hard not to feel shame. It's hard not to feel like somehow we went wrong. We get this honor, shame thing. And we find Jesus and his mom in a situation today, a life event with very specific expectations, and the opportunity for a lot of negative points to be scored. A wedding, much like it often is now, was a party, and the host was expected to provide. And there was a basic rule. The party would last as long as there was wine. And it was expected that wine would last. Once the wine ran out, polite goodbyes, well wishes, but if the party had ended up being very, very short, that family, that wedding, remember? So when mom says to Jesus, they have no wine, there's a lot riding on what Jesus will do. Of course, the result is the first public miracle of Jesus, water into wine. It's his first sign, and it shows who he is, and like many of his signs, it's one that proclaims a ridiculous abundance, which is a sign of the abundance that God has for us, the abundance of love. And the party, along with the reputation of the family, is saved. The negatives replaced by, remember that wedding? The wine. And there was so much of it. For many of us, this story, the making of water into wine, continues to be a favorite story of Jesus. He seems so human. He bickers with his mom. She ignores him. Maybe he knows, or maybe she knows, he doesn't want to make her angry. He provides. He protects the host family and becomes literally the life of the party. And all that tells us we need to let him be the life of our parties, the light of our lives. Back when I was young and dinos walked the earth, there was a show on TV called Happy Days. And it was a usually light, nostalgic look at the 1950s. And if I say the name Arthur Fonzarelli, many of us immediately see young Henry Winkler in a black leather jacket. The Fonz, the epitome of all that was cool. But what does it mean to be cool? Does it mean to be tough like the Fonz? To have all the girls or boys like you? To be the center of attention in every room? The actual answer? No. Eventually in life, you realize that a lot of being cool centers on not caring whether others think you're cool or not. Centers on being happy with yourself. Centers on letting others live without judging them. Centers on being good to others, yeah, but also not needing to defend yourself if someone casts aspersions on you. Centers on, yes, being that good person, but also a person not terribly concerned with their honor-shame score. Being cool, it means rising above the judgment of others and just being happy with yourself. And if we can remember the abundance of God's love for us, revealed in gallons and gallons of water become wine, we have a better chance of doing exactly that. Remember God's love for you. Remember nothing in this world is more important. Remember, let Jesus be the light of your life. Let him be the life of your party.